Hey, what's up? What it do? So fam, welcome to Canon Witchery or Readings by Canon. That's me. I am Kat Nicoletta Monroe, for those of you who may not know, and this is your spiritual check-in. Finna offer you some practical spiritual advice in the form of a tarot reading, whatever it is that y'all need at this time. We are using... What are we using? We're using the Before Tarot today. It's exciting. I actually really like this deck. Okay, so we have the Eight of Cups and the Seven of Wands. Interesting. This is giving me a feeling of surrender. An acceptance of something new. In the original tarot, we have the individual in the Eight of Cups here moving away, walking away from what it is that they've built in order to find their Two of Cups to then have it all equal 10 of Cups. But he's indulging right now. He's in it. He's trying something new. Maybe he still hasn't made the decision officially to walk away just yet. And there is, again, there's this sense of surrender that is currently coming about here. Usually the Seven of Wands is on defense, but there's no need for that right now. Or you just don't want conflict. I think that this is a little bit less about like conflict avoidance and acceptance. It's just acceptance. That's just what this is feeling like to me, which is really beautiful. You're maybe indulging in like the sweeter parts of life, you know? Change is fickle. And I know oftentimes when we set goals for ourselves, we tend to forget what it is that we have here and now. And I believe that so many of y'all right now are kind of giving it up to God, the universe, whomever, whatever it is that you believe in, respectfully. There's this like really beautiful sense of relief. Relief, I want to say relief and release simultaneously, so there it is. It's relief. There's no need to fight. There's no need to stress right now. And sure, maybe on the flip side, logically speaking, there might be like 5 different reasons and things to do that are of importance that should make your blood pressure go up, and yet you're just like, you know what? I'm tired. I'm just gonna sit here for a minute, slow down. There's a sense of peace, acceptance, gratitude, grounding, which is really nice. Good for you. All right, what else do we have here? Okay, we have the Five of Swords, and yet chaos do be stirring. There is someone around you, soul fam, that I'm picking up that just might like, I heard humbug, okay? So they just might be like a Bowser, you know? Like, it's just like, you just want to ruin everyone's good time, just cuz. So what the heck is that about? What's the Five of Swords about? Okay, so the Lovers card came out, so this could be someone that you're currently in a relationship with, or an ex, something of the sort. Oh, I can't show that card though, because there's the penis. There's also a Two of Coins, so this could be some interesting. You can be kind of like riding alongside a person or multiple people. It's gonna differ for a lot of y'all. This is a YouTube reading after all, right, folks? There's people around you that are coming along this ride, whatever it may be for you, like something that you're newly embarking on. Perhaps maybe they're witness to a particular change I'm hearing of abundance. So like, as a simple example, you may have received like a new job, or like you have something new in your routine. Perhaps it's a new person in your life, a new relationship. Maybe you just got out of a relationship. There's some sort of a change that someone has witnessed to. And they're kind of required to like change with you. Because even as something as quote unquote simple as, let's say, like a breakup, even though that has something to do with you and one other person, it does have an influence on other people, because now your characteristics start to change. Maybe you need some healing. Maybe you just want to party all the time and you're just like, woo. And then people around you are like, yo, like, what happened there? You know? Or maybe they're down to party with you and stuff. But like, the point is, there is a change that had likely occurred for you that you're just giving into, okay? Likely just by easing up and being like, you know what? It's not even a white flag. You're just like, whatever happens, I got this. Like, again, there's a sense of acceptance that is really wonderful to tap into with y'all. Based on a decision that you have reached for yourself, a change that has occurred based on action. Like, you jumped up and you chose something, right? And yeah, this person in your life, now lovers could also be friends too. Okay, it could be partnership. It's a choice though. Like, the Lovers card is the choice card. It's the story of Adam and Eve, okay? And the apple and the tree and who did what, and there's a little snaky snag, you know? Like, there's the choice. Do we bite the apple or do we not? And one person's decision influences another, catalytically almost. And to go full circle to this Five of Swords energy, mixed in with like all of this peace and acceptance that you're just like, okay, I'm just, you get it. There's someone around you that's kind of like battling themselves, could very well kind of be envious on your peace or your ability to just like have things kind of like quote unquote like work out so effortlessly in your favor. People misconstrue oftentimes the amount of like work, grit, healing, belief switching and narrative changing that one goes through when they are an individual whom chooses to embark on some form of a change, especially on like a regular basis, okay? Leave it to Uranus in the first house over here, who's constantly like, we every 2 years be a completely new person. I'm kidding, it's still me, but like, you get what I'm saying. There's like an evolution on this shit, you know? You're like trying one thing out and then like it just completely changes your world. And with that comes so much of that hard work. Like, there's a reason why you're down on your knees right now when you're surrendering and you're just like, I don't even want to fight right now. Like, I know that there are obstacles in front of me, but right now I just want to indulge. I'm thirsty, you know? Like, just have a sip of water, hydrate. Facts, you know? So why is this message coming up? Like, what is this? What about it? Okay, so we have the Ten of Swords. Now remember, this is the before tarot, so take a look at this picture, okay? And look closely in the bushes behind them. There's people peeking. He has not yet the swords in his back. You might be feeling as though, ooh, nose itch. You might be feeling as though someone is ready on the attack. And by the attack, hopefully, I don't mean abuse in any form or fashion. If that is the situation, please get out, remove, go no contact, etc. to keep yourself safe. But that is another side of the story. You might feel as though like there might be like an impeding chaos, or it could be that like you're avoiding someone's bah humbug mood, you know, because like, again, like they're not exactly dealing with this change as best as possible. And so when someone's in their Ten of Swords, right, like swords is all about that intellect. It's all about that perception play, right? It's ego, it's consciousness and unconsciousness, but I would argue that's also more so like fire, you know? Nevertheless, when we are so conscious about our woes, sometimes we sabotage another person from obtaining their highs. You know, it's like you want to drag them down. Even if it's inadvertently, like sometimes people use their projections in such a way. So I don't want y'all to think that like this is like some sort of a reading where I'm like, watch your back, people want your demise. I mean, that could be the case for like a select few of you, but like, let's humble the energy here, okay? Someone might just very well project their insecurities onto you. Perhaps maybe they're just, again, not liking the person that you are turning into. And that sometimes, unfortunately, comes with the territory. You know, I know maybe I'm being a little bit more, I don't know, nonchalant about it, but I've learned this lesson countless times myself. When you make choices for yourself that require something different from you, meaning you have to show up differently, you react differently, you have different priorities, right? Like things start to shift, even the minute things. Sometimes those things can be life-altering changes in the long run, right? Where it opens up opportunities that seemingly come out of nowhere, and yet it's been a long time building up to it, you know? And when that thing happens and it catalyzes more of that change, and induces perhaps maybe it's an entire environment shift, perhaps it's a wage shift, right? Like again, I'm feeling a lot of money with y'all, right? Like there's most of y'all, this has something to do with like work, perhaps maybe jumping and taking like some sort of like a promotion, obtaining something with work, a choice. It could even be that just like you're grounding something within you. It could be a change of environment too, like whatever's physical. So maybe you got, I don't know, even like a makeover. Some of y'all got a makeover and you're feeling yourself a different way. You know what I mean? Like, shoot, like you went from like the ugly duckling, this is not my words, it's spirit talking, to like the swan. Like you recognized your beauty, you know? You took off your glasses and you were like, wow. I love people on glasses, by the way. I think they're so cute. Something's changed, something shifted that reflects something within another person that now they have to acknowledge. Perhaps you used to complain about something with a particular person for quite some time. That's actually the thing that bonded you together, and yet you healed that thing. Now you don't share that link anymore. And if you don't share that link anymore, then particular activities that also surrounded that link in one form or fashion, even inadvertently, also cease to exist. And then miscommunications come out and misunderstandings in the sense of like you start recognizing that like you're not really seen or heard by that person. There seems to be a disconnect. You essentially start falling apart. Right? Now, does the fall apart happen every single time? No. Sometimes it does just require another person, one or both, right? Because there's self-regulation and then there's co-regulation, okay? But it does require self-regulation from a particular individual to choose, number one, do they want to embark on such changes? Do they want to maybe try something out? Do they want to compromise and make something work? Set some boundaries too. I mean, you don't have to go on these changes if you don't want to just because someone else is going. Like you could just be like, you know, it's not for me. It's lovely that your life is going in that direction. I wish you all the best. I'm so proud and happy for you. And I got to go this way. Like this is, you know, like no harm, no foul. It's just, it's all love. It's just goodbyes. People can't always get to that state of acceptance. Like perhaps maybe you have now learned to become willing to do. And yet people behind your back be buzzing. They be talking about you. There may be some gossip at play. You may be really worried about how people might perceive certain things about you just because they're like not really on that, I don't want to say like level, but like when you're experiencing something that like no one else around you has experienced, again, there's no connection there, right? Like you're looking for some form of understanding and like attachment to someone who just gets it, you know? And there seems to be a disconnect with a person or multiple people around you, and you are sensing this disconnect, okay? And again, to some people, like, they may be thinking and plotting behind you. Perhaps maybe it's just gossip, you know, and they're just kind of like this person's kind of different now, you know? Yeah, they think they're all that, or like, I'm sad about, maybe they're just really sad. Maybe they're just like, you know, it doesn't always have to be catty, okay? Like, shoot, sometimes people are like, I just kind of miss who this person was. Like, we don't have anything in common anymore. Like, now it's like, what do we do now, you know? For others, it's the emotional release that needs to come out of it, the decision to change, the desire to come with, you know, to shift focus, to maybe develop their own hobbies and habits. If there is something that like you don't really want to embark on together, but you still want to do the life thing together, another person develops a hobby or has a different friend group or something, you know, and then you come together, and then like there's more to tell, there's more to experience together, there's more stories. Here's what happened to me in my day, and what's yours, and like what did you learn, and like, you know, you maybe even build those things together eventually and merge them at a house party or something. Like, what the rampages that I'm going on right now. There's a multitude of different ways that connections and relationships through change tend to merge, or I just heard discombobulate, but whatever, words. And free will plays a really big part in a lot of that, right? Because again, you have a choice. A lot of times people think you don't have a choice. You do have a choice. You always have a choice. You just have to be brave enough to choose it. And so I think that for the most of y'all tuning in, you have chosen to be brave, to accept whatever situation is as it is, and you're like, whatever happens, happens, you know? It doesn't mean that you care less. It means that you're letting whatever is meant to be the outcome out of everything to be that, and you're hoping for the best, okay? People around you definitely in some form of like mental misery. There has to do something to do with like a choice that you made. You are the pinnacle point for a lot of people right now. And so you're feeling that behind your back. So this could be a reading that confirms that. Like, yeah, people are noticing the changes. And some of them, at least the ones that I'm picking up right now, I'm trying to make this as positive as possible all the time. But it's not always the case, you know? Sometimes people do be yapping, okay? And having opinions about shit that they don't really freaking know and understand. But why dim your light and your flame because other people are afraid of their shadows? You know what I'm saying? Like, shine bright like a diamond. And then, okay, and then your guard goes up. There seems to be like a confirmation of fears for some of y'all, okay? This will not apply for everyone because again, this is a YouTube reading after all. Some of y'all could very well be undergoing some form of a breakup right now, okay? It's like your fears and like your least expected and desired outcome is like at your doorstep. Like the end is near, the end is here. Like, you know, it's kind of like one of those things. If it's not necessarily a breakup, it could be, maybe it's like a job loss or something, right? Like there could be a, I just heard eviction notice. It's not job related, but could be like an abrupt change, okay? Something that like a fear of something negative occurring, it was kind of more of like a premonition of sorts. You felt it coming, and it even if that thing didn't happen to you, like if you're on like a happy-go-lucky streak and bad shit is happening to other people, like they're losing their jobs, like however it is that this is working for you and how it resonates, okay? There's a bunch of different stories coming in at me right now. That for some reason is causing a disbalance between yourself and another or others. And unfortunately, the fears of perhaps maybe having to like raise your boundaries even more or separate or There might be some truths coming out here as well, okay? Because we now have a mixture of wands and swords. Wands and swords here. Someone might say something that maybe at the time they really do mean, right? Like someone might expose their fear in such a way that like attacks the other person. Like sometimes we do that unintentionally. Again, it's a form of like projection. There's like a warning message here that's like woven into this whole thing as like watch your back, like take care of yourself, like do what it is that you have to do in your peace, in your gratitude, in your calm, which will, by the way, like when you're calm, when you're in an acceptance state vibrationally to the best of your capability, you still deal with any sort of emotions that come up as they come up, right? Like emotional regulation is in fact feeling through things at a pace and a time that is acceptable, that won't create chaos to your environment, right? It's not necessarily like pretending like, oh, everything is fine and we're just gonna like shove this aside because we're gonna keep really busy on stuff and other people have it worse, right? And we're just gonna neglect feeling it at all, right? Like that only actually just suppresses things even further, and it just kind of, don't do that. Feel your emotions, okay? But the point that I'm making is that when you slow down and you allow for the regulation to take place, you're able to problem solve at a much more efficient rate. And that might be the message that is ultimately required to be delivered to you right now in this whole heap of different scenarios and puzzle pieces that came through throughout the last 20 minutes. Go slow, ground yourself, and witness what your next move is, because there is something that you have feared hearing, experiencing, or realizing that has happened to another person and or yourself. Again, this will differ throughout the collective here. That is now coming to light, that you are now to quote unquote protect yourself from, okay? To prepare yourself from, whether this is financially, whether this is, I don't know, get your receipts, okay, have like an out, a plan B, if you will. This isn't at all meant to fearmonger. This makes sense to whoever the heck needs it. It could be a job loss, right? And like, you need to start looking for other jobs, and you have like this like inkling within you that's like telling you like maybe apply to this place or talk to this person about maybe getting you in for an interview or something. You know what I mean? Like, you never know how this could play out very subtly within you. But if that is the notion here that you are experiencing, soul fam, listen to that, okay? Because part of acceptance and being in a state of like that acceptance flow when you're in surrender is in fact actually going with the flow and actioning with that flow as well, right? Like this is how you become really in tune with your intuition, with the quote unquote universe, and you get to gauge your next step and proceed down this line of consistent change, right? Change becomes easy for people who have walked it and know the path well. I just keep going around in like spirals, as we all do. Some people go at a quicker pace, is all I'm saying. So there can be more efficient and easier ways of doing that, and it comes down with grounding, because yes, your intuition is absolutely right. There is someone that is losing their marbles around you, and there's some form of projection that is likely near. Before it manifests, perhaps maybe remove yourself from a situation, give them their space, set some boundaries, do what it is that you gotta do to remove yourself from any sort of like chaos or karmic lessons that like you've learned. I think that sometimes what's happening when we are ready to quote unquote like break through, right, and get to this next phase in our lives, you've heard some form of reiteration of this cliche that like things get worse before they get better, right? This is kind of the case in the sense that like we're presented with an opportunity to meet an experience, a repeated experience, and decide if we're going to accept the invitation or if we're going to react differently, to show up differently. That's what's happening right now with whatever's coming up. You can feel it intuitively. It's pattern recognition, right? Like, this is what our lovely brain does. It recognizes certain things, whether it is unfortunately through hypervigilance and things like that. It's through also peace that you are able to like be able to obtain the puzzle pieces that you require more logically and safely and soundly when it comes to the emotional sense. Gathering everything, recognizing what's about to come up, sensing it, feeling it. How are you going to react? How are you going to show up to this experience? However it may play out for you individually, how are you going to show up differently than you ever have before? That breaks the pattern. And by the way, oftentimes being selfish is incredibly... That meant to sound so like in flow, and the Mercury retrograde was like, ha, okay. Let's try that again. Being selfish is often very selfless, because when we're capable to discern when it is time for us to take a small step back and cater to ourselves, to do the emotional regulation thing, to do the self-care thing, to check in, to do what it is that we need to do to make ourselves happy, healthy, stable, to whichever degree, right? Fuck, I forgot what I was saying. It's gone. The message is gone. Well, shit. That was odd. Okay. Y'all just witnessed a full-on buffer moment. That's crazy. But anyways, I think it was something along the lines of like just trusting your intuition, getting deep in with yourself, knowing what it is that you can do to change a cycle, to break out of falling into a particular loop, to choose something different, right? Because if you're gonna choose one thing, eventually you gotta let go of another to find even a better balance within yourself, you know? And that doesn't always have to mean like a breakup or, you know, any of the examples that I had offered up in today's reading. But it does have a lot to do with your own happiness and choosing yourself and accepting the people, places, and things that are meant to come along this ride with you, or whom are now, you know, to be super magnetizing. So fam, you also are going to like repulse people, you know, like repel people. You're gonna, when your vibration shifts and it no longer aligns, there's a disconnection that is currently taking place. For what it's worth, I hope that there is a reconnection if it is a happy and healthy one in the future. But nevertheless, protect yourself and do what it is that you got to do in order to, well, stay 10 toes down into who it is that you've chosen to become, because you're already that person. It's just a matter of like going through some of the little shifts that are inevitable with change. So the best of luck, I guess. Soul fam, I heard my snaps. What the heck happened in the last like 3 minutes there? What? The message just went yoink. That's fine. Hopefully something in here was helpful to whomever it is that needed it. Love y'all's always. I will look forward to seeing y'all more and more often on YouTube across all of my channels. My ACB buzzing too much right now. It's a little annoying. Keep losing track. Mercury retrograde is like fucking me up, bro. Oof. Such a cliche spiritual girl thing to say, but like, bro, if we only really truly understood the magnitude of gravity and how planetary placements actually do impact us, on a cellular level is crazy, but nevertheless, I keep fucking up my words. I am going to be showing up more on YouTube, so hopefully I'll be seeing more of y'all. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Comment down below any resonances. Join this roller coaster ride that is, I guess, doing YouTube readings on a Mercury retrograde. But again, let me know if there were any resonances, because I absolutely love hearing from y'all. And yeah, I hope to see you guys in another video. Bye!